Modern economics is not like video game economics. This is something that pretty much any gamer would already know, and you probably think I'm just stating the obvious. However, the reason that game economies actually work most of the time is because real life economics sucks, and it is 100% our fault. Going back to my video where I'm talking about being real men or about the modern industry and how that sucks, it all is because of that. Modern economics is mostly about planning and hoping things go well and changing your plans simply because things didn't go 100% to plan. Video game economics often don't actually end up being that way. Getting income in video games is a lot sooner, and the monthly income really only takes every little bit of time, while in real life it takes significantly more time. And yes, it is good to do the extra planning, especially because you have significantly more time to get that money. However, the reason that people can grow significantly faster with economies that simulate the modern economy in video games without fail is because they do things in the now. They make decisions and they hold by it. They really only change if they absolutely have to. And that is what modern economics is not having. It, often in modern economics, what people do is they change their plans all the time compared to what they think they need to do, what everyone else is telling them to do, what the trends are telling them to do. Except in video games, often economics is about you just need to do one thing and that will help you and that will help you to get other things. Because as long as you are good enough to keep your economy or business running, you are more than capable of just waiting it out. Oftentimes, in modern economics, people try to grow business and their capital as soon as they can. But that's not what it's about, and that's not how you build long standing 99% of the time. All of the hit companies that end up being super big, yes, it's all because they made these constant changes and decisions to try to be the best. And while, yes, that is a good thing to do, it is so few, and we're already at the point where the monopolies already have taken over control of that. Things like Ford, where they just simply tried to slowly get better, working at one thing at a time, are still here today, and supposedly Ford has had the best trucks for like 49 years or whatever compared to the last ad I watched on it. And they've made like 33 million trucks of just the F series. Businesses like that are the ones that are going to stay around every recession and continue to work. They understand video game economics and use it to their advantage because video game economics works far better than modern economics. Video game economics often ends up having the player making tough choices in the now and just sticking with it. And if it ends up failing them, they always can learn. And they always end up learning from other people. The reason that most people watch people play video games for hours on hours is because they learn from mistakes from other people and they learn the good things that they to do from other people as well. So when you have that kind of a natural experience game from passive gain, you end up getting more experience gain from simply doing it. That is what modern economics doesn't have very much of. You get very basic instructions and you go off and you try to do them. While this often can work at getting you started, it does not get you all the way through, and that's why modern business often fails. This is why people end up owning one store in one town that ends up barely making, because they don't end up actually following video game economics, which is objectively better than modern economics. Let's take this into example. Let's think of a game like City Skylines. While I personally don't play the game, I have watched people play the game and I know people that play the game. You get your income as the government of a town or city, however far you end up getting, and you simply just need to make stuff for everyone else. For your citizens, right? You are actively making things slowly better for everyone, but you work at one thing at a time. You work on getting houses, and you work on making sure that you then don't have waste building up because no one wants to live in a very wasted place. Then you work on water because everyone needs water. Then you work on food because everyone needs food. Those are basic things that you do step by step that ends up growing you and getting the foundation. From there, you work on trying to make it so that people can earn for a living. And you slowly work on all those things and you slowly add up onto them. But you do one thing at a time and you don't change because when you change, you're forgetting to do the core things that you do need to do. If you go off and you only just try to build a bunch of houses for people, you might get a bunch of people that will come, and then you're gonna have a bunch of people leaving because everyone didn't have their water, they didn't have food, they didn't have jobs. You can't work or live with that. It doesn't go like that. That is why video game economics works because you focus on one thing at a time, you get it done, you work on trying to improve everything else. Modern economics is about trying to only focus on one to maybe five things, and you get those things constantly just done, 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 and you forget about all of the other different things that you need to have because you're doing a just a trade-off. And that trade-off, well, yes, if you get lucky, can absolutely help you insanely quickly and make you a ton of money. It can also be the reason that you fail, that you don't have anything. That is the problem. You don't actually help yourself, you only leave yourself to chance in modern economics, while in video game economics, you only help yourself by following a basic system that has generic cause and effect. It helps you immediately by doing your actions. You get rid of problems and you add on to things that are already helping you, but you also help things that are helping you only a little bit, and the good things that are helping you a lot. So when you add on to everything, you create a much higher bottom line. And that bottom line is what helps you make more money in general. And truthfully, I think that example is actually very strong because it reflects modern government and how poorly it's treating things. It is trying to satisfy very specific things all at once rather than trying to generalize. And that is a big problem. Centralizing everything and going after a couple areas only gets you so far. Well, yes, once again, if you have a major food shortage in, I'll use the same example, city skylines, then yes, you need to hammer down on that so it's not a massive problem that's constantly draining you. That is an example that, yes, it does work like that at times. However, once you fix the issue, continuing to work on it when it doesn't benefit you is when it becomes a problem. Let's think of another example. If you have a clothing store, let's say you have literally everything from like legs to shirts to whatever you think at a clothing store. You go and you specifically try to go only for shirts, even though you brand it as an everything. You have a massive shirt selection, but then you end up only appealing to people that have shirts when some people come in for the nice, we'll say, quality of your pants, but then you don't go and work on that and you only have a little bit of that. Then you price probably extra because it takes more work because you're already putting all of your effort into shirts when the shirt industry is once again already very challenging. Now, yes, so is the pants industry, but it is what it is. When you continue to only work on that one thing, those shirts, then you start to lose out on potential for a bottom line for everything. You really then have to compel to everyone that you are really just a shirt store, and then you have some nice other things, but you can get the same good kind of pants for cheaper at that point. So when you centralize on just the shirts, that leaves you vulnerable to having extra problems and lack of industrial gain. Now, obviously, you don't have to ever become a 500 factory owning mass producer. In fact, I'd rather not ever be that because being that is what's probably going to lower quality and going to lower your ability to be trustworthy. And that's honestly centralizing on production and trying to reach as many people as you can rather than trying to reach out to a broad audience of people that actually want what they need and get what they want and get what they need. So the centralizing is what the problem is in modern economics, and video games is decentralizing, and the decentralizing is why growth happens so much more. The reason that we go for centralizing is because we are always told to be specific about one thing, specialize in an area. And well, yes, with a job, you can get a lot more for centralizing your skill and your abilities. And while yes, that is very important if you want to make a lot of money, like how I want to do cybersecurity. So if I specialize in one area, yeah, I can make a lot more money. However, if I go and I still have all the skills of all the other areas in cybersecurity, I can be an all rounder jack of all trades that still allows me to be able to do everything. And if I can do everything, I can use it to protect myself. So, really, what to just actually worry about is to worry about trying to centralize only and just bank on it. That is why modern economics is failing. It is slowly falling under and under. That's honestly why things like Walmart have tried decentralizing. Walmart in the beginning was kind of actually pretty specific, and then once it grew big, it really started to decentralize. It tried to go for everything. It has like bakery stuff, and I'm pretty sure in a lot of Walmarts, yeah, they have like their bakeries where they bake things in real time. Then they have, all their produce, all of their toys and funds. They've got their electronics. They decentralized, and that's why they gained so much power because they ended up appealing to everyone without trying to be knocked down. Because there is a point where trying to be for everyone in a business or as a government does really weaken you. If you only try to be for everyone, that can also really hurt you. However, with the Walmart, they are just trying to get to people and they're trying to promote quality, whether they have it or not. And they're trying to promote low prices for everybody, whether they actually have low prices or not. So they try to decentralize, and that does help them. They try to keep their departments fairly decentralized rather than just trying to have everyone of their workforce trying to be in one area. They have their managers, and their managers do a bunch of other things. So they are even teaching ordinary people to try to decentralize. However, that does often fail, and that is because of all of the other lies that we are told about centralizing. And this also works with groups, like organizations. They try to specialize, and they oftentimes don't really get very far. They think that they're doing really good. We'll just like use a well, you can think of literally any organization that's been made, especially even thinking about like the Great Depression era or the end of it at least with FDR. He made a lot of very specific organizations that did a lot of specific things. And while, yes, for a short time that ended up working, as soon as that stuff ended, it became almost useless. That uselessness ended up making the organizations fail when they could have been around for a very long time. Like their Highway Building Act one, or the one that was specific to highway building. That was a great idea at the time, especially considering that train was mostly the way that people got from one side of the country to the other. However, as soon as they pretty much stopped building all those highways, they stopped building all of this main stuff. As soon as they got out of the Great Depression and started going to wartime era, they completely forgot about most of it. And that ended up ruining the organization. And you would think that having the extra highways, the extra construction, the extra good stuff would help. And it would have, especially considering if you can increase ties from like Washington, D.C. to like all the way into California. Those are two major hubs, especially now in the world. Having something to connect them would work. And that would be unset. uncentralizing. And even then, you could also have the organization also start with normal roads. You could have it so it helps towns. You could have it so that it helps a bunch of other people in every way that it can, despite it being specifically for highways. That is the kind of stuff that would have made the organization go for longer. And I can keep going off with examples. However, the whole moral of the story is that if you centralize just on one thing, then you are immediately going into modern economics and you are going to not do as well in the long term as someone that is doing decentralizing like video game economics. Please, if you guys are going to start a business, start anything, try to not centralize on any one thing. I'm going to do this one last example because it's very personal to me. This YouTube channel is technically a gaming channel, and I do a bunch of gaming, but then I also do a lot of these talks. I call these Admiral Talks. In the beginning, I said it was going to be a different channel and I was going to centralize, and I kind of regret that. I don't want to centralize anymore because that slows growth. If I can just put it all on one channel and have a decentralized as much as I can channel, that will feed off to more people, which is good because I'm not trying to appeal to everyone. I'm simply trying to have a potential to reach everyone. If I can reach 10,000 people per video because the video is made technically for everyone, then that is fine. It doesn't have to appeal to all of them though. That is decentralizing at its finest. And once again, I am at the very beginning stages of my YouTube career. I'm at the very beginning stages of learning how to do this stuff. So really it's not about necessarily getting as much as I can from every single person. It's about being able to reach lots of people, as this is in a way its own business or a setup for one. Now it's not necessarily a business for money, it's a business to help other people. Because remember, services are just as important as goods. Okay, well that's enough of that. I hope you guys have a good day. Please think about what I'm saying and probably go over it a couple times. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.